Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. We apologize, but at this time we are having some technical issues, but we will start our Congress in few seconds. Please be patient. Good morning, everybody. It is our pleasure to welcome you all to our fourth EFL Pedagogical and Didactic Training Congress, ICT for Teaching English. This is an event organized by REDBIME, Bilingualism Network in Meta, which belong to Mesa de Rectores, Directores de Instituciones de Educación Superior con presencia en el Meta. Next. Okay. REDBIME, Red de Docentes e Investigadores en Lengua Extranjera, EFL, English as a Foreign Language, and ESL, English as a Second Language. Esta red de bilingüismo, dentro de su naturaleza, está conformada por docentes e investigadores en lengua extranjera e inglés y fue fundada en mayo de 2017. Como misión, la red de bilingüismo del Meta fomenta el intercambio interdisciplinar en torno a la docencia, investigación y proyección social. Como visión, esta red de bilingüismo líder en la cooperación y articulación de proyectos en docencia, investigación y proyección social. First, we want to welcome the principals and directors that join us today and who are active members. Universidad Cooperativa de Colombia, Dr. César Augusto Pérez Londoño, representante Luz Amparo Sanabria. Corporación Universitaria del Meta, doctora Leonor Mojica Sánchez, representante Rubén Mauricio Muñoz. Corporación Universitaria Minuto de Dios, doctor Carlos Alberto Pavón Meneses, representante Lisset Castillo. Escuela Tecnológica Instituto Técnico Central, hermano Ariosto Ardila Silva, representante Carolina García Díaz. Escuela Normal Superior de Acacias, doctora María del Carmen Moya, representante Ligia Leighton Rivera. Escuela de Carabineros Eduardo Cuevas, coronel Carlos Alberto Rojas Bañol, representante Freddy Caro. Institución Educativa Marco Antonio Franco Rodríguez, doctora Sandra Milena Sales. Fundación Universitaria Ucompensar, doctor Juan Carlos Santiago Gallo, representante Roger Céspedes. Corporación Universitaria Autónoma de Nariño, doctor Dorian Eric Colún Cabrera, representante María Lucía Beltrán. Universidad Nacional Abierta y a Distancia, doctora Blancadilia Parrado Clavijo, representante María del Socorro Forero. Universidad Santo Tomás, Fray José Antonio Balaguera OP, representante Marian Monroy. Next. Welcome to our fourth EFL Pedagogical and Didactic Training Congress, ICT for Teaching English. This is an annual event organized by REDBIME, Bilingual Network of Meta, which is a non-profit teacher network officially founded in Villavicencio, Colombia, where it acquires the academic endorsement and sponsorship of Merun. As an objective, the REDBIME strategies that strengthen in the teaching of English in the region through the socialization of minimal experiences and educational research. Welcome you all.
Good morning, you all. Welcome to our Congress for ELF Pedagogical and Didactic Training Congress, ICTs for Teaching English. Our for today is first one, the Colombian national item, and the second, we would like to welcome to Dr. Blancadilia Parrado, Merun active member, who is going to make the opening of the event. And after, we will have the different lectures, okay? The first lecture is, let me check here. Okay, the next lecture is from Carolina Rodríguez Buitrago. She is a master. The conference title is Leveraging Technology and Innovation in Language Teaching Through Flipped Learning. The first workshop that we will have is about the Dr. Rigoberto Castillo. He is a PhD, and the conference title is Writing Paper with ICT Support, a Practitioner's Guide. After, we will have an activity, breakout room, from Justin Marwang. And the last conference for today is from Lady Viviana Perez, and the title is Quality Evaluation of a BLO Design with NIPER to Mediate English Pronunciation. Remember that our Congress, we will have 3 days of Congress, okay? For that, for tomorrow, we have another conferences. For example, we have a PhD, Diana Camila Polindar, with the conference title, Be Learning Experience on English, Learning Motivation Relationship. The next conference is from Daniel Fernando Gelbes, and the conference title, Enhancing for Semester Students Critical Thinking Through TV Series. Also, we will have the breakout room, the activity from Elena Way, And the another two conference, Luisa Fernando Ortega from UNAD, with the conference UNAD EFL undergraduate students' perspective of the development of their communicative skills in English during the initial training phase. And the last conference for tomorrow is from Marjuris Vanessa Perez Salcedo, a conference titled Global Knowledge to Promote Language Development. And the last day of the Congress, the next August 27, we will have the Dr. Heriberto Gonzalez conference titled Innovation in English Improvement Processes in University Professors Integrating Virtual Platforms and Technological Tools. Also, we will have the Magisters Magda Alejandra Carbonell and Angela Gomez with the conference A Pedagogical Design in Distance Education to Improve Language Skills in a Course of General English at Santo Tomas University. We will have our breakout room, the activity from Justin Mark Wong, and the last conference that we will have is from Magister William Fernando Fernandez David and the student Natalia Polania Rayo. The conference title is Virtual Learning Scenarios as a Strategy to English for Specific Purposes and Upper Education. And at the end, we will have the closing ceremony. Okay, welcome to all you from this Congress. Okay, we are going to start with our ceremony, opening ceremony. I invite you all of you to listen, to sing our national item. Okay, let's to continue with our program. Now, the second, we will have the Dr. Blancadelia Parrado Clavijo. She is an active member and who is going to make the opening evening. Okay, welcome, Dr. Blancadelia. Bienvenida, doctora Blancadelia, la escuchamos.
Muchísimas gracias a la red de docentes, investigadores del área del aprendizaje en inglés y de diferentes idiomas que así hoy han expuesto esta iniciativa de poder trabajar en red. Un saludo especial para todos y cada uno de los participantes de este gran evento. Para nosotros como red de universidades del Meta, rectores que estamos vinculados para el servicio de la humanidad, hoy brindamos ese saludo especial a nuestros conferencistas que igualmente van a participar. De verdad que para nosotros es un honor poder ser anfitriones de estos procesos de aprendizaje y enseñanza del idioma. En nombre nuevamente de los rectores, del coordinador de la mesa de rectores, el doctor César Pérez y cada uno de los integrantes de la mesa. Igualmente de las instituciones que así bien han tenido vincularse con nosotros de la educación media y técnica y que es una labor valiosa para que los metenses y los de la Orinoquía, Amazonía también puedan adherirse a este importante evento que hoy nos ofrecen los líderes de cada una de las universidades e instituciones que se han adherido a este proceso. En nombre de los ponentes, un agradecimiento especial. Voy a referirme a unos de ellos como para, en nombre de ellos también a todos los 10 ponentes que estarán con nosotros, la doctora María Carolina Rodríguez, el doctor Rigoberto, el doctor Justin Mark, la doctora Lady Viviana. Para todos los conferencistas, de nuevo, para nosotros será un gran placer poder compartir estos conocimientos y que nuestros estudiantes, egresados, profesionales del área también puedan ser partícipes ahora más que nunca que tenemos la posibilidad de hacer uso intensivo de la tecnología llevada a la educación y esto como fin pertinente para que logremos que esa educación y en este idioma sea mucho más universal y más apropiado por cada uno de los integrantes que hoy están con nosotros vía presencial, vía virtual, que nuestra red siga avanzando, esta red de bilingüismo, que por supuesto desde el 2018 somos conscientes, somos partícipes y sobre todo hemos trabajado mancomunadamente en un trabajo colaborativo, en un trabajo de equipo para que las universidades en el Meta y la Orinoquía puedan seguir avanzando en estos conocimientos. A todos y cada uno, gracias. Nuevamente no me cansaré de dar esas gracias porque nuestra zona, que tantos pobladores requieren que el conocimiento llegue a cada una de sus casas, a cada una de sus familias, a cada territorio, a cada comunidad. Hoy lo vemos realidad. Hoy más que nunca consideramos que estos conocimientos y que hoy compartirán nuestros conferencistas podrán ser reconocidos para que se potencialice el conocimiento que está recibiendo cada uno de los estudiantes, tanto en las instituciones educativas, media, técnica, como en las universidades. Así que no me queda más que decir adelante con el proceso y estaremos muy pendientes para que siga redundando en esos conocimientos de nuestros territorios. Muchísimas gracias y bienvenidos y bienvenidas todos.
Thanks, Dr. Parrado, for your participation in this important event. It's a pleasure for us to have you here. Thanks a lot, Doctor. Okay, let's continue with our Congress. Dear participants, pay attention please to the dynamic of this Congress. Each lecture will last 30 minutes and there will be 10 minutes at the end, 10 final minutes for questions. So please write your questions in the chat, okay? All the people that are connected with us from YouTube, okay? Our speaker will answer some of your questions, okay? Or comments even. Include your name, please, and institution. We will love you to know from where you join us today, okay? We will have some breakout rooms among lectures for you to get engaged in interactive activities. So please, we encourage you to participate and have fun. At the end of the third lecture, we will send you via chat the link for the satisfaction survey. So please fill it up and give us some feedback for future events. Please take into account that all the viewers, all the assistants, you will receive a certificate for this Congress, okay? And then it's really important that you register the attendance and the satisfaction survey. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, dear participants, thank you again for joining us in this fourth version of our Congress. So we are going to start. So let's start with our central conference. Let me introduce you to Magister Carolina Rodríguez Buitrago. She is a full-time professor at Institución Universitaria, Colombo Americana, UNICA. She has worked as a teacher for 20 years and has held different positions in the academic field. Recognized for her work in Flip Learning by Flip Learning Global Initiative, and currently a member of the board of the Flip Learning Network. She has also been recognized as one of the 150 leaders at an international level for her implementation of Flip Learning in higher education. She also participated in the revision of the international standards for Flip Learning and led the Flip Tech Latam in 2019 held in Bogota. Her conference title is Leveraging Technology and Innovation in Language Teaching through Flip Learning. Welcome, Professor Carolina.
Thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you very much to Fundación Universitaria Compensar for extending this invitation to participate in this event. It's a great honor to participate in an event of a network of English teachers who want to continue improving. This is what makes us all be together here. So once again, thank you, and I'm really honored to be participating in this event. So let's get started because time is at the essence. So we're going to go ahead and get started with what I called leveraging technology and innovation in language teaching through flipped learning. So since you are watching on YouTube, I'm going to invite you to be fast typers. I have a little bit of a delay, so it will take me a couple of seconds, maybe 20, to see what you're writing on the chat. But in the meantime, I will just be talking about the questions that I'm going to ask you, because first, before talking, I would like to know what you think. So the first question is, what is your student's favorite class activity? Try to answer that question as honestly as possible. What is your favorite student's class activity? So I'm going to be looking in the comments just to see if somebody places an activity there. I would like to say that for my students, I think one of their favorite activities is when we share our feelings, when we talk about how we're doing. Also, when we use Google Jamboard to see everybody's opinions. I would say, I don't know, maybe those two are one of their favorites. But I happen to have some of my students in the audience, so probably if they answer there, that would be great too. Okay, so I'm just giving you a couple of minutes. Okay. It's just coming through into the YouTube, so I'm guessing I'm gonna wait a couple seconds. So what is your favorite students' class activity? So while those questions come up, I'm gonna get ready with the second one. How did you do that activity before the pandemic? And how do you do it now? There we go, they're coming through. So we have games like Kahoot, or when they use the language meaningfully, great. Activities that involve interaction and express points of view, says one of my students. Thank you for being here. Okay, so yes, activities that involve interaction, right? Games. Okay. Fabulous. Let's see what else comes through. So we have 35 people watching. Activities that involve discussion. They like that. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to show the third question. They will come through as I'm speaking, so I'll go back to them and take a look. What makes activities meaningful for students? That is the third question. What makes activities meaningful for students? So I'm going to start talking because this is going to take a little while to come through. Okay, William says, before with face-to-face meetings, now with beat breakouts to split students. Thank you very much, William, for that. Raul says, hi, Raul, how are you? Activities with outcomes, describe pictures, fill out tables. Great. Lady says, interactive activities and debates so we can learn from others' points of views. Great. So what makes activities meaningful for students? Active learning does, right? Active learning. This student in the picture, not so active, right? Kind of bored. Now, let's take a look at some points. So student-centeredness, collaboration and cooperation, student voice and choice, differentiated instruction, and hands-on activities. These are some forms of active learning that we can build in our language classroom, and we can leverage technology through them, right? So I just want you to keep these in mind: student-centeredness, collaboration and cooperation, student voice and choice, differentiated instruction, and hands-on activities where students are working. So I'll go back to the chat to see that have something tangible to show, says Raul. Mayuri says song activities. Yes, students love that, right? Students' voice and choice. We have the ones in which they are active learners. They hate being passive. Yes, they do, right? So we have hands-on activities, collaboration and cooperation, student-centeredness. Thank you very much, William. Mateo says it was made by groups and now it is in the same way, but without face-to-face meetings. Jennifer says quizzes, Kahoot, they like it. Yeah, they like all these activities. We like activities where we are involved, where we are at the center of the learning process, where we are collaborating, and when we have a voice, right? So John Holt said that learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is the product of the activity of learners. And I think we have focused for too long on what we as teachers do, right? So we focus whether we are covering or not covering the material, whether we are fulfilling the expectations of the government, whether we are, we the teachers. And so we are kind of forgetting that actually all what we do is to foster student activity, is to foster student love for learning, not the opposite, is to foster students active engagement, motivation, metacognition, and other words that can help us build better learning experiences for them. So this is why active learning is so important in this presentation and in flipped learning. Okay, so the question for today, or the title of the talk, is how can I use technology and innovation in my language class? So I think there are two answers for that. One answer is 2019 and before answer, and another answer is 2021 answer, right? There was one use of technology back in 2019. We were talking about innovation. We were talking about educational buzzwords, you know, like autonomy, like flipped learning. We were talking about EdTech. We were talking about 21st century skills. 19 years into the 21st century, we're still talking about them as an innovation. But then 2020 happened, right? And invited us to move to online learning rapidly without any option. Remote teaching for some people because online learning wasn't possible. Creativity, oh my goodness, how many teachers, how many of you had to be super creative because you had no resources, you had no technology, your students had no computer, there was only WhatsApp, there was only one phone in the family. So creativity was at the essence. 21st century skills, they did become a thing. They are not anymore a buzzword that we just talk about, but they are what we are doing in the classrooms. Collaboration, problem solving, creativity, critical thinking. There are all these things that happened in 2020, not only COVID, but also the social explosion. And all these things that happened have invited us to really promote 21st century skills with our students because there's no more choice, right? Parent involvement. How many of you teachers out there in Villavicencio and in other areas have prayed for your parents to get involved in the process of your children? And now 2020 forced us, parents, forced them to really get engaged and really participate in the learning process of their children. So then, along with all these rapid changes and very important challenges, came all the tools, right? So we started using Google Meet and Microsoft Teams and Genially and Zoom and Kahoot and Suite and oh my God, so many tools until, the poor teacher just went, oh my God, what do I do with this? There's so many things. There was so much, such rapid learning. Teachers everywhere in the country had to face this difficulty of being faced with learning about the tools, learning to deal with their students' social-emotional needs, learning to deal with their own social-emotional needs, because this was a pandemic for everybody, not only for students and their families. And so we were overwhelmed. It was a hard year. It was a hard year. But then we learned that this technology use, can be used in our language classes. So we learned that tech tools are not enough. We need to design meaningful learning experiences for our students. We learned that just by pushing Kahoot and Google Forms and Google Drive in one class is not going to improve the learning. So definitely COVID-19 gave us a new perspective. Yeah, because we, the techies, the people involved in technology, in educational technology for many years, we had been barking at the moon for 7 years, telling other teachers, telling our colleagues that these things work, that we needed to develop standards, that we needed to develop technological abilities. But then 2020 and COVID and everything that happened gave us a whole new perspective into 2021. What are we going to do in order to take advantage, to leverage all of what happened in 2020 for our new reality or our new normal? So 2020 taught us about collaboration, not only between students, but also teachers. We were sharing lesson plans. We were sharing techniques. We were sharing ideas. Parents, we also learned about collaborating with parents, generating guides, generating handouts that would help them structure the learning experience for their children. Student variability. We realized that student who never turned on the camera needed some of our support. And so we found ways to get closer to those students. We realized that not everybody had the technology we needed, that not all the students grabbed information the same way. We saw the importance of creativity. Definitely we did, because they had to create so many creative things. Projects. We saw that it was much better to create a project and have students work on it, with scaffolds than to have a single lesson, single activity every day. We learned about the importance of feedback. We learned about design. We learned about the reduction of barriers, how many of our students had barriers. And we also learned about the mindset revision. Before 2019, a lot of teachers, and I tell you because I've been doing technological trainings for a long time, said, no, I can't. I can use technology. That's not for me. But then 2020 told you, what? You have to use it. That's all you got. And so you did it. You used it. And now you are an expert. You use Kahoot, you use different activities, you use Meet, you use things you never imagined you would. So you had to revise your mindset. Is it that true that I can't? Well, actually, you showed yourself you can. So once again, I keep asking this question, how can I use technology and innovation in my language class? By flipping your class, yeah? I am a proponent, or I've been talking about flipped learning for so long, but what is this? So I have my own definition. In 2020, I took a stab at creating my own definition of flipped learning because I say, why not? Yeah, why not? I've been following the definitions of others, and this is the one that I go by. So for me, flipped learning is a compassionate teaching methodology where students are placed at the center of the learning process, and teachers are architects of authentic, meaningful, and intentional learning experiences for both spaces of learning in and out of the classroom. So let me chew that a little bit for you. Compassionate teaching methodology. What do I mean by that? I want to be that teacher. I want to be the teacher students go to ask about their things, to feel confidence, to tell the teacher that they don't understand the topic, to be honest and say, you know what you're teaching is not relevant for me. Or to simply say, teacher, you know what, today I'm feeling down. I have a family member who got COVID. So we don't forget that we teach students, not contents. We shouldn't just focus on what grammar structures, what vocabulary I'm going to teach. We have to start with the students. And then from then on, we need to craft this learning experience. We should teach from the heart, not from the book. So that is why I say compassionate teaching methodology. It's not lastima, you know, like pity, because in Spanish, the term compassion has a different trace. In English, compassion refers to love, right? It's kind of the translation of caritas in Latin, which refers to love, to selfless love, you know, where you are just trying to understand the other as they are and to see the other for what they are. And so this is what I think flipped learning does. It allows me to give compassion to those students who need it, to give compassion to myself as a teacher, and to bring compassion into the learning and teaching exercise. So for example, I want to show you quickly this. This is just a walkthrough of a grammar hyperdoc that I have used in my classes. As you can see, the name is Be Happy, Be Present. We're talking about mindfulness in an English class. This is to practice the simple present tenses. So we explore a topic through the VIA character survey. We analyze the character strengths of students. We see which are the signature strengths. Then we explain the topic that is grammar. I teach my students with strategies, how to watch videos. I present different videos, not necessarily has to be me, you know, like I'm gonna return this. As you can see, this is a website that is called AngloLink. I just grabbed some videos from the internet. I curated content. I did exercises for them to practice. We go to different websites. This is a whole learning experience. It's not one class. This can be done in 2 weeks, right? So I do prepare this, what I call a hyperdoc, for students to navigate the content on their own, at their own pace. I have all kinds of multimodality. So as you can see, there were texts, there were videos, there was audio, there's meditation, there's note-taking by hand, there's peer assessment, there's all kinds of things. So students, all of the different students feel that this is for them, right? There is peer assessment. I'm teaching my students to be metacognitive, to think about their learning process. There is a reflection. So metacognition is a huge part of this exercise. Students show how the hyperdoc is a different thing. It's a different methodology for them, but they like it, as the comment of this student reveals, yeah? And so they are learning to learn, and they're learning language by means of thinking about social emotional learning and their own character strengths. Okay, so this is about to be over. As you can see, the extending part has different links. Hyperdocs would be a whole new workshop. Okay, all right, so I'll move on to the next. Oh, sorry, it just turned on. Okay, so I guess I'll just move here. All right, wonderful. So, no, what is doing? Sorry, technical glitch. I guess it's because it's a video. So I'll just stop it here. There we go. Yeah. So that was the first part. The second, students are placed at the center of the learning process. Okay, so here I provide choice. Remember at the beginning, active learning, we talked about choice. So as you can see, this is not as complicated as designing a hyperdoc. The design of a hyperdoc takes time. This is just a chart. You know, you just make a chart. So for example, for my academic writing class, here was a choice board for students to choose what activity to do in order to practice. So this is a bingo. So they have to choose 3, and they have, you know, they can choose either the 3 on the left, the 3 on the top, the 3 on the right, the 3 on the bottom, or include their own choice if they want to do something different. With this type of exercise, for example, the purple one, you can see that I'm providing choice for students with high connectivity, with low connectivity, students who are taking their class on a computer, students who are taking their class on a cell phone, because there are some websites that are available on data plans that consume less and others that demand more. There are exercises that are on paper. And as you can see here, there is one that says, do you have a doubt? Go to Microsoft Teams and talk to your teacher. I am a choice too. They can go and talk to me individually, sit down, talk to me and ask me their questions. Then we have the pronunciation improvement choice board. Each student selected what they wanted to do, declaim a poem or do a monologue or narrate a goal. Yeah, the soccer fans love this one. Tell a news story, sing a song. We provide choice, and this doesn't mean that I have to do 40 different lesson plans. This means that I have to try to think of different options for all my students to feel included, right? Another thing, students at the center. So for example, here, one of my students, she is providing the video for her classmates. So she prepared the presentation, she explained the grammar topic, and she's the one jumping ahead and teaching the others, right? Peer instruction, it's a fabulous part of flipped learning. Then we have peer assessment, constant feedback. Students need to learn from one another, and they need to gain this authority because they feel they don't know enough to correct someone. They do. They're in your class, they're learning, so they do. So you can help them. This one is in Google Jamboard, but you can see I have simple charts on Word. You know, peer assessment is just looking at each other, helping each other, seeing how we can build and grow together in our language use. Then also, for example, these lessons, this is a self-paced lesson. There are different steps. You will be receiving a handout where you have access to all these activities. If you want to make a copy of them, use them, please go ahead. I'm happy to share this with you. So this is a self-paced lesson for my research 2 students. This is coming for you in the second term. And these students, and each take as much time as they need. Well, not as much because we have deadlines, but you know what I mean, right? They can take time in each one of the steps, listen again, watch again. This is me explaining a topic, and you will see, because you will have access to this, that you can do many different things in one of these lessons. So this moves me to my next part, which is teachers are architects, right? My husband is a civil engineer, yeah? And he says that architects are dreamers, that they think up the greatest designs, you know, that they always think, oh yes, that beautiful curve. And then he, as an engineer, he has to make it happen. So what are you, architects or engineers? Yeah, are you the one who dreams up amazing learning experiences for your students and you think that everything is possible? Or are you the engineer who's always saying, nah, we need to change the materials. That is not going to be possible because that curve is impossible. But you know, it's not impossible because actually they make it happen. You know, you have seen buildings that are crazy. That happened, that started first with an architect who dreamed it up, and then the engineer had to get on board. So you can do this. You can be the architects of your students' learning experiences. And for what? Learning experiences of what? Authentic, meaningful, and intentional learning experiences for at home when they are studying by themselves and out of the classroom. So when we were in the classroom, it was beautiful. I had my students sitting down on the floor, doing posters, explaining things to each other. It was wonderful. But now that we are online, I created, for example, this. You can see that in the last slide, we have a station rotation. Each group of students was doing a task on a different place in the class. And here, this is a station rotation online. So I send them to breakout rooms. I create this with Genially. They click on the different pictures and they have the instructions, they have everything, okay? So Aaron Sams, one of the pioneers of flipped learning, tells us design for the French and you will involve everybody. So if we design for the average student, the one that is in the middle, we are going to leave out a lot of people because that are going to be the fast students who are bored to death. And they're going to be the not so fast students, the low achievers, sorry, who are going to feel left out, silenced, and frustrated. So if you design for the fringes, if you design for those people, you know, with high expectations, with high achievement, and also for the ones who have more difficulties, definitely the one in the middle is going to be included. This is part of the universal design for learning principles that are really embedded with flipped learning, and I invite you to check. I would like the organizing team to tell me how I'm doing with time, please. So I just wanted to say how Aaron Sams, he tells us the fringe, design for the fringe. And the fringe is the edge, the periphery. When we design for the students in the periphery, the ones with the families who are struggling, the one who lost their father, the one who doesn't have an internet connection, the one who doesn't have a computer. If we design with them in mind, then the others are going to be included, you know, and they're going to feel that we are thinking of them. Okay, so I will be expecting on the chat how I'm doing with time because I think I lost track of it. So that was my definition, right? But there is an official definition from the Flipped Learning Network, the institution that I am a member of. And they said in 2014 that flipped learning is a pedagogical approach in which direct instruction moves from the group learning space, your classroom, to the individual learning space, their home, library, bus, car, and the resulting group space is transformed into a dynamic, interactive learning environment where the educator guides the students as they apply concepts and engage creatively with the subject matter. I want to highlight some words here. Pedagogical approach. Flipped learning is not a fad, is not a trend, is not fashionable. It is a pedagogical approach. If you go with flipped learning, you believe in its principles, okay? Direct instruction moves. What I'm doing here, you know, I'm giving you direct instruction. It moves. So it moves from the classroom, from the group learning space to the student's individual learning space, yeah? And the resulting group space, because if you are not talking in front of your students, what are they doing? Well, they are, the resulting group space, the classroom, is transformed into a dynamic, interactive learning environment where you are a guide. Yeah, that's important in flipped learning. We are guides on the side nor sage on the stage. And they apply the concepts and engage creatively with the subject matter. So there are keywords here: group learning space, individual learning space, engagement, direct instruction, student-centeredness, transformation, teacher as a guide, and creativity once again. So it seems a lot like all the things we learned with COVID, right? Active learning, of course. Okay, so yeah, this is the center. And to make it happen, you have the pillars of flipped learning. You need to create a flexible environment to build a learning culture, to generate or work with intentional content, and to become professional educators. In your handout, you will have a link to a list that is called the checklist. And I would like to invite you to, when you have time, sit down, read it, and check these boxes, because I'm pretty sure that you are already doing a lot of these things in your classroom. You are already creating a flexible environment. You are already promoting a learning culture where mistakes are okay, where students are not going to suffer, you know, because they made a mistake. Okay, fabulous. I still have 5 minutes. Thank you. And you are also a professional educator because you are here. You are here learning, creating new opportunities, thinking about how to do your job better. So definitely we are. And also, if you're curious on how to flip your class, you can find the elements of flipped learning. Yeah, it's not like I send videos for my students to watch at home, so I'm flipping my class. No, you need to consider all these 87 elements for you to really feel like you're flipping your class right. So in the handout that I'm giving you, you have a link to this chart where you can click it and see what each one of these elements is about. If you want to learn more about flip learning, this is not something you can learn in 30 minutes, but I just want to, give you that interest so that you can pursue it. And something key, this is something important if you want to plan the class for Monday, you need to invert Bloom's taxonomy, right? So in the traditional model, the teachers introduce new material to students. So we are on the understanding and remembering base. And then at home, alone, students are responsible for homework in these levels of understanding. When you flip your class, you introduce the new material to students outside of class as their homework, as you saw, for example, in the literature review thing that you saw. And then students and teachers work together during the school day on these levels of learning. So if you flip your class, meaning if you take out direct instruction from your classroom, if you create hyperdocs, if you record videos, if you find websites, guides, if you create guidelines, you can invest the time in your class to apply, analyze, evaluate, and create, right? So this is what flipping is all about. If you Google digital Bloom's taxonomy, then you just Google that. That's going to be homework for you. You Google digital Bloom's taxonomy and you're going to go crazy. There are thousands of websites, applications, anything you want in order to work with the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy through technology. So think about this. For example, we have here, for remembering, we have Evernote, Moodle, yeah, etc. For understanding, look at that. We have TED, we have Paul Everywhere, EduBlogs, etc. For applying, we have Ning, ePulse, Visual Words, James, SlideShare. For analyze, Wordle, Web Inspiration. I mean, the list is long. You know, a new tool emerges every day, right? So it doesn't matter what tool you're using. What matters is the pedagogical objective that you have. And what you're doing is making a decision, putting your students at the center of the learning process, really taking advantage of those 2, 4, 6, or 8 hours that you see them every week. When you see students, you should be working on things that they need you for. Yeah, so you have to ask yourself the question, what do my students need me for? Yeah, do they need me to tell them something that they can find on Google or on YouTube, or do they need me to solve questions, to help them, to guide them, to give them feedback? And then you do that, right? Okay, so in the individual learning space in a flipped environment, you can use hyperdocs, pre-recorded videos made by the teacher using PowerPoint and Screencast-O-Matic, for example, textbook pages if you have a textbook, annotated or enhanced readings on paper or PDF, podcasts, slideshows, teaching text tutorials, anything. You can create something for students to access that content that you need, that list of verbs, that list of vocabulary, that grammar structure, that listening strategy, that reading, right? And then in the group learning space, authentic interaction, speaking activities, in-class flip, that's a whole new workshop, Socratic seminars, peer instruction, feedback, inquiry-based learning, cooperative learning strategies, differentiated instruction, gamification, mastery learning, project-based learning, CLIL, I mean, whatever you want. When you flip your class, you gain a lot of space in your classroom to do all those great things you always wanted to do, and to take your students to that language level that you always wanted them to have. So just the words of the other one of the pioneers of flip learning. Flip learning is the meta strategy that allows all of the other strategies to happen. If you flip your class, you're going to flip your mind, and that is going to help you make that change that you need to have your students engaged, be the center of the learning process, and have an active learning experience in your class. Thank you so much. I hope you contact me. There's information about my blog, and I hope you received the handout because there were a lot of links there. I'm going to stop. No, I'm not going to stop sharing right now. I just want to use the time for questions. So thank you so much for this invitation, and I hope this was something helpful for you.
Okay, thanks, Professor Carolina, for so meaningful teaching strategies you have shared with us today. So now we have more dynamic tools to make our teaching practice more attractive for our students, no? And especially now that we are facing new educational challenge. So thank you
Absolutely.
very much. And something that you mentioned, very important for all of us as English teachers, is no matter the tools used, the most important is the pedagogical objective.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, now let's see some of the questions.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to try to take the comment, the handout to YouTube just in case.
Okay, so here we have one.
Okay.
How can we integrate flipped learning with very young students?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Tatiana, for that question.
How can we integrate?
Yes. Well, so flipped learning is not about the technology. It's not about tools. It's about the pedagogy and the student-centeredness idea, right? So how do you engage young learners? It's different from how do you engage teenagers. Absolutely, that's right. So how do you integrate flipped learning with very young students? Well, you prepare materials for them to access at home before they get to you so that they can understand concepts. So for example, if what you're teaching is vocabulary, yeah, let's say that you're teaching vocabulary. So you can record a short video where you present the pronunciation of this vocabulary for the parents, because remember that for young students, we need the support from parents. So you, for example, you create a list of 10 words. Yeah, so cat, dog, bird, mouse. So you don't want the parent to provide the pronunciation because maybe they don't know English, right? So you can record a short WhatsApp audio or send them a video with the pronunciation of the words and send them the cards. Yeah, give them the cards so that they can listen with their kid and show them the card. Children are very absorbent. So the problem is not the children, you know, it's maybe structuring the experience for the parents. For children, and I talk to you as a mother of a preschooler, exposure is just enough. You can expose them to the language, expose them by songs, by means of, let's say, cartoons, things like those that they are interested in, and they will pick it up. It's with young children, it's easier actually. As a mom, I can tell you that. Okay. So I see a lot of questions on the.
Okay, thank you. So we have more questions here by teacher William Fernando Fernandez. He said, are you currently teaching in virtual, remote, or hybrid mode?
Well, I'm teaching both virtual and remote. Virtual and remote. We haven't returned to the university. It's been a little hard because our students are scattered throughout the country because we have a lot of scholarship holders. And so those scholarship holders went home, and their homes are sometimes places with challenges in connectivity and different other things. So we're still remote, virtual. Yeah, that was the question. So I'll just answer that.
Okay, thank you. And from the same teacher, we have another question. He said, to what extent foreign language is time consuming to you?
Yeah, it's flipped learning consuming to you.
Oh, flipped learning.
Well, I return that question to you, William. To what extent is teaching time consuming to you? Because teaching is time consuming. And yes, I can guess that you're thinking, oh my God, how much time is she spending on this? Trust me, the first time I flipped my class back in 2014, it was hard. There was a lot that I had to do. But as time passes, you become better at, you know, thinking about the lessons and organizing your lessons and creating the materials. And then you start having like a bank of materials that you can start using and resorting to. So for example, that lesson on the genealogy that you saw about the literature review, I started working on that lesson last semester. I prepared videos like separately, right? And I gave the videos to my students separated. But then this semester, I could build the whole thing because I already have the videos. But I'm not going to push myself to, you have to do it for tomorrow. No, because I have a life. I'm a mom. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. I also teach in other things, you know, like I direct pieces. I have 1,000 responsibilities. So, but anyway, planning is one of my top priorities. And my students know that. Like a student walks in a class that is not planned and they know. So, yeah, planning definitely is high on my priority list. So that's something that maybe you need to revise, because probably you have other responsibilities that are higher on the priority list. And I think it's also another thing is that it's easier to improvise when you're face to face, because you connect with the people directly. So you know if they're getting it. But in the online environment, you have no idea what's going to happen. So you have to think of the steps. Yeah, so yeah, it is time consuming, but first, teaching is time consuming. Second, the first time you do it is more time consuming. Third, as you progress, it'll become faster. Okay. And I also gave you my templates. So I gave you all the templates. So you just have a lot of work advanced. You just have to, you know, change the words.
Okay, so, and there is another question. It is related to the same time consuming, but I want to read it from teacher Ruben Mauricio from UNIMETA. Yes. How long does it take to you preparing a very good lesson using appropriate flip learning strategies?
That's a good question, Ruben. Yes, it depends. It depends on how much I want to create, and how many, you know, like videos and stuff. Depending on, it depends on the lesson, right? It depends on what you want. For example, a hyperdoc, it can take me up to 7 hours to prepare. So I have to organize myself pretty well. So like, I don't improvise that much. I don't give myself that permission that much, but it's worth it, because the first time it takes you a long time, but the second step, for example, the second time you teach the same course, you just have to check the links, revise if everything works, and you're done in 30 minutes. Yeah, but the first time it can take you, I don't know, it depends on how fast you are with technology, how much you let the internet consume you. Yeah, so it all, you know, it's kind of depending on the person. So the story is mentioned in Marta. Yes, Marta is my co-author in the In-Class Flip book. We have been working together. We have been pioneering flip learning in Colombia. So thank you for acknowledging her. Yes, Marta Ramirez is also another reference in this field. And I want to, Luz, if it's okay, there is one question by Roger. It's a short question. So it says, what is the most difficult aspect when using flipped classroom? And I definitely will have to say time. Yeah, because you want to do so many great things and time is always a challenge. So yeah, well, I guess that's all, right? I think you're having internet connection problems.
Yes, that's it. I think that Dulcimar, yes, has some technical problems, I think. Okay. Okay, Professor Carolina, thanks a lot for so meaningful teaching strategies and you have shared with today, okay? Thanks a lot. Okay, let's continue. Now we have our second lecture and this is the first workshop. Okay, dear audience, please don't forget to write your questions in the chat, okay? And please to register the attendance. And at the end of the day, please fill up the satisfaction survey. Okay, we have the pleasure to introduce PhD Dr. Rigoberto Castillo. Holds a PhD in Foreign Language Education and a Master in Applied Linguistics from the University of Texas at Austin. Fulbright Scholar, past president and recipient of the National Award of Asokopi Tisol. professor at Universidad Distrital Francisco José de Caldas, guest lecturer at Universidad de Caldas y Universidad de Buenaventura Master's Program, and consultant for publishers, member of the research group Formación de Educadores, ranking in the top category of MinCiencias. Welcome, Professor Rigoberto. It's really a pleasure for us that you two be here today in this important event.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to put my my watch so that I don't go over 20 minutes. All right. Set my alarm. 20 minutes. Okay. 10:55. All right. 11. Good. Here I am. All right. Thank you very much to REDBIME for this invitation. I want to first of all tell you that this is my second participation in this network, and I'm very pleased that it exists. And I hope to contribute to their mission, to their vision, by presenting the work that I do, and also by sharing with the community the things that I have worked with. Speaking of sharing, in the chat, I have just written the link for you to access the handout. And also, if you, I will coordinate with the organizers to have your emails, and whenever the book that is the result of the research that I'm presenting today becomes available in the month of October, I will send you the link to have a copy of the book available, where the discussions that and the topic that is presented here can be observed or discussed at length.
Dr. Castillo.
Yes.
Excuse me. It's possible that maybe you can after your camp, please? Because okay, I think that it's so important to see you.
Sure. I thought it was my camp was on, wasn't it?
No, it's enough.
Okay, let me double check.
You have an image, okay?
Okay, wait a second. Okay, here. Okay, yes, because I'm going to share my screen. Can you see me now? Oh yeah, I have an image. I'm going to close that.
I see an image.
Yeah, the image of a snap camera. I'm going to turn it off. And stop video. Webcam. Okay, right. Now you see me, right?
Yes, perfect, wonderful. Of course.
Yes, sure.
Yes, thanks a lot.
All right, so I'm going to share the presentation that I have divided into two sections. Can you see my PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, yes, doctor.
All right. Very good. Also, so first of all, I would say something that I also say in class. This presentation begins when it ends, because I'm going to give you the heads up, and with the handout, I want you to try the different resources and to try to use it in class one by one and see the potential that it has. So I have given the title of this presentation about reading and writing papers with ICT support. As you know, university students as well as high school students, they have to display the knowledge they have or the understanding of the reading or of the content, or show their skills through reading and writing. Then I feel that there is a lot of unexplored potential of ICT, and my presentation deals with how can we accompany our learners to become better readers and better writers, and if they are doing research, become better researchers with more effective researchers by using specific resources that are available in the World Wide Web. As I said, in this link that I posted in the chat, and that I ask going to ask the person in charge of YouTube to please copy this link as well, and you can access to that. And if you're so kind of sending me your email, I will give you a notification when the book comes out. The book is going to be launched during the ASOCOPI conference and will be available online in the middle of February. So there are two parts to this presentation. The first one has to do with the research itself that I conducted for almost 3 years. I am a professor in the doctoral program, in the graduate program at Universidad de Caldas and San Buenaventura in Cartagena, and I teach a course in academic writing in the undergraduate. So I had plenty of data from different sources, from doctoral students, master students, and undergraduate students. And the main problem was, how can novice readers and writers become more effective and efficient to read and understand literature, and also to write and to put into ideas into the writing, having a dialogue or entering into dialogues with the authors that they consulted. The objective of the study was to document the progress of novice readers and writers in the World Wide Web. Laurel calls them the WA readers, the readers and writers in the World Wide Web. How can we use this big potential of which Carolina was speaking about for the learners to empower themselves and have better products, have more clear manuscripts, and also have more quality sources and more quality products. All right, so the point to make is that when reading and writing for academic purposes is a little bit different from reading and writing for different purposes. It requires to become more familiar with the conventions of academic language, and that poses challenges. So what methodology did I use? Action research proved useful to diagnose, to say, okay, I have plenty of drafts number 1, and I'm going to check what are the most common problems in the areas of formatting a document, of the content of a document, and of the language of a document. And how can these problems be addressed? And accordingly, to propose a syllabus in which these difficulties are addressed. And the syllabus would be or would require a very active participation of the students to read and write much better. Now, how about the approach? Which approach did I choose for the pedagogical intervention? I chose a strategic approach for undertaking language tasks. I published a book in 2014 that is available in the website of the Doctorado Institucional de Educación, that is called Teaching and Learning Another Language Strategically 2014. So I decided to continue with this approach, but more focused in academic reading and academic writing. The main idea of this is that in the center of the core of the syllabus or the pedagogical intervention is the ICT support. For what? For editing ideas, for engaging ideas, for looking for coherence and cohesion, for generating ideas, and for organizing ideas. Each of these pieces of the pie have a series of strategies that the students learn. I give a name to the strategy, I demonstrate the strategy, and then they have to apply the strategy to whatever they read or write. What was the conclusion of the study? The study concluded that the expression of the knowledge acquired contributed to organize the experiences that students wanted to explore or share. So the university students want to explore a certain topic. In this case, in the area of education, they were interested in trying a particular method, in trying a particular ICT resource, in trying to write a syllabus of materials for a particular set of students or to address a need. And the product of this study was a book that is called Handbook for Second Language Instructors and Keen, Reluctant, or Procrastinator Students. Read and Write Research with ICT Support, which will be available from October 2029 on the website of Universidad Distrital with Doctorado Institucional Publicaciones. All right, now I'm going to give you a description and then a demonstration of some of the things that you can do and what I mean by that. First of all, I feel that students need to become very familiar with university library databases. If you are not connected or you don't work in at a university, you have open access databases such as ERIC, REDBIME, the directory of open access journals, etc. So library databases are very powerful to have access to scientific information and to reliable papers. What do you need to do? You need to work with your students on keywords. Let's suppose that the students in a high school want to read scientific papers about the water cycle. So the word water cycle would be an important word and has to do with agriculture, has to do with the environment, etc., etc. So accompanying the students with a keyword search to find recent, relevant academic papers that discuss the topic, it's something we need to work with. The other aspect is to elaborate graphic organizers. If you use Word, there is something that is called word art. I'm going to write it here, word art. And with word art, you can have different ways of representing what you want to do. You can represent the problem, or you can represent a methodology, or you can represent the organization of the literature review using a very simple tool such as word art. It was already there. Okay, and there are also available, as Carolina mentioned, there are many templates that are available in the internet, and one of those have to do with problem trees. If you are doing inquiry-based learning in secondary schools, or if you're doing introduction to research in any area, the problem trees are very useful, and there are templates to have what is the root of the problem, what are the consequences of the problem, and how to go about solving the problem. There are also suitable templates for almost anything, right? For example, if you want to teach your students on how to write a professional CV, you say, okay, professional CV for engineers, professional CV for teachers, for architects, for you name it. So templates are a useful way. You already have the language, you need the organization with your own information. And very importantly, no matter which resources you use, you always have to negotiate the topic of inquiry with the instructors, all right, with your teachers. So if you are working with 10th grade students, for example, and say, okay, we're doing project work and you need to identify a problem, negotiate the topic with your teacher, and so that it says, okay, this is very broad topic, is very narrow topic. I think this is too controversial. Maybe we shouldn't work with that. So it's not only that you go through Google things and then you have the topic and you do that. No, it's a topic that has to be mediated with a dialogue with the teacher or teachers of the school who are in charge of this. So the first aspect was the generation of ideas. Now, but we need another step, which is the organization of ideas. That's the other part of the pie that is needed. Once you have brainstormed and you say, okay, I'm going to be writing about this particular topic, how are you going to organize the presentation of that paper to the readers, your teacher, your classmates, or at a conference? You need to be very well organized, and you need a table of contents. You need a hierarchy of titles and subtitles. I later on will show you and demonstrate its importance. So you need a schema to communicate with the readers or the listeners. And also, depending on what you are writing, you need to share this schema with the readers and the writers of that, the readers of what you're doing. So if you're writing an essay, the schema is different. If you're writing a research report, if you're writing a composition, so it has to be according to the type of writing you are doing, or also if you're reading an essay is different from reading a research report, etc. And there are, for example, model templates for an essay. Said, okay, how is an essay organized? What should you have in the opening paragraph? What should you have? What sort of secondary ideas should go in the second paragraph, etc., etc. And there are also models and templates for empirical studies and for doing an empirical study or for reporting an empirical study that you read. So the schema, it's very important, because if you have an organization in your mind and you share this organization with the potential reader or listener, there will be better communication and there will be better quality in the products. So we had generation of ideas, we have organization of ideas, and the next thing that we have in the pie is the edition of ideas. You don't want to present a paper in which there are many errors. You need to, as a learner, you need to learn to make the most of your computer mouse. As you know, the computer mouse, if you click the computer mouse, it tells you, it gives you a lot of information over here, right? Synonyms. You can find synonyms for a word that you use over here, right? So you have the synonym, computer, processor, CPU, mainframe, supercomputer, workstation, PC, laptop, thesaurus, etc. You can also have translate this for me, and there is a translation available for computer, right? And what do you want to do it with, etc., etc. So there are many things that you need to make the learners aware that they exist. They exist, and it's not enough that you know. It's not enough that you know. You have to tell them and teach your students that the computer mouse is a powerful tool for writing, for reading as well. There are online dictionaries. Carolina mentioned visual words. If we have time, I'll demonstrate visual words. It's a visual dictionary that tells you the main meaning of the word and which other words are related or connected. There are dictionaries of collocations, which words usually accompany other words. Now, if you as a teacher and the students have access to Turnitin, you can check how original your paper is. It's very powerful, very useful, not only for teachers, but also for the students to determine to what extent they are not expressing their own voice, but probably they are just referring too much to the authors that they are consulting. All right, I will go full screen now. Something very important, there is a grammar spelling check. There are two free versions of two programs that are called ProWriting Aid or Grammarly. These free versions, when their students, no matter if they are in the school or at the university, if they regularly use these tools, you can download them, have them as an application, as an extension to Word, as an extension to Office, and it provides you with immediate suggestions and corrections. If you are writing a thesis, something that is very important for your graduation, well, you can, it's a good idea to have the premium version for a couple of months and correct your paper and submit error-free papers. There is another tool for exploiting, there is another tool that I like very much to spot overused words. It's called wordsift.org. You copy and paste the whole text, and when you click on one word, it tells you how many times is repeated in the document. And that's useful because there are some rules in writing, such as you should not repeat the same word in the same word in a sentence. You should not write the same word in several times in a paragraph. You should not have the same word more than 4 or 5 times in one page, and you should not overuse a word too many times in a text. So you spot these used words, these overused words, you go back to your original manuscript, and then you reduce the number of words either by using synonyms, by deleting it when it's not necessary, or by paraphrasing. Something that I find very useful is peer reviewing. You ask your students to upload the documents in Google Drive so that everyone has access to the classmates' paper, and they give you feedback. I give the students a template, I give students a guide with a criteria to read their classmates' paper. The criteria saying, for example, what is the main idea that this writer is trying to convey? If you cannot find the main idea, suggest one, etc. And the guide takes it step by step, and it deals with issues of formatting, content, and language use. If you have access to Moodle in your institution, then the students upload their manuscript to Moodle, whether it's a composition or whether it's a creative writing exercise, and then the class, before submitting it to you, the classmates provide feedback, or one classmate provides feedback, peer feedback, and the quality of the paper increases. Also, as I mentioned before, there are templates to meet the demands of a genre, such as an essay, but there are also university library guides. My favorite one is University of Southern California Library Guide. The links are in the handout, and it tells you when you are writing an introduction, what should go in the introduction, what should go in the abstract, what should go in the conclusions. So the library guides are very, very useful to revise the papers that you have you're working with. The next point that has to be kept is how can we engage in ideas? How can we enter in a dialogue with the authors that we consulted and with the reader? So I propose in the book to follow Aristotle's art of rhetoric. So the ethos aspect has to do with authority of the sources. You don't want to quote or cite magazines or newspapers, but instead authorize books, databases, and research articles. The pathos refers to being sympathetic with the audience, to keep in mind the audience, to be sensitive to the audience needs, and to include what the audience expects to see according to the topic and according to the genre. And the next aspects of Aristotle's rhetoric has to do with the logos, which is to have a logical organization of the paper. How can we help our learners to engage in ideas when they are reading or writing. First, by modeling. If you ask your students to do creative writing, model, choose some good stories, some good poems, analyze it and model, and they can make variations on a topic. The other aspects can be through bridging, in the sense that you give them, for example, a part of the story and they have to finish it, or a part of a poem and they have to finish it and provide their own finish. So they are intermediate tasks towards the actual production of an original text. The next aspect has to do with contextualizing. Contextualizing, like insisting on providing, let's say in the case of creative writing, providing a setting, characters, a space, time, the five senses, etc., and situating the piece of writing into what is being done. If instead somebody is writing about a research project, the contextualization would have to be to give enough, check that there is enough information for the reader to understand what is being done. And in engaging ideas, this is also connected to organizing the ideas, is that learners should be able to build schemas or maps and to represent graphically their ideas to better communicate what they are. The next aspect has to do with developing metacognition and awareness. How do I learn better? Which steps do I follow to read and understand a text? Am I using any strategy to get the gist of the text, to understand the main idea and the purpose of the writer? Can I identify the limitations of the text that I'm reading? So these questions, if you ask these questions within the exercises for reading or for writing, the learners become more aware of their own learning. Okay, so what comes with this? Schools meet the learners' needs where they connect directly to what they do at the school, which is, among other things, to determine the quality and authority of the sources. That's what we do. I said, okay, where did you get those ideas from? I said, no, I saw a newspaper. Well, probably that's not the best source that you can consult for discussing a topic in a school or at a university. I think you should look more authoritative sources, more academic sources like university libraries, like academic databases, etc. What else do people do in schools? They interpret, assess, and decide on the relevance of the information that is given. What else do they do? Students elaborate products in the forms of posters, essays, presentations, oral presentations, or publications. So in order to meet the learner needs, we need to accompany them in the use of resources, not only to say, check the library, check this book, etc., but to walk along with them. Okay, the next, reading and writing papers with ICT support is a recursive process. It means you go back and forth, you generate ideas, you continue writing, and then you edit ideas, but the edition process is also done at the end. Once you have finished a paper, you have to go back and revise the whole thing and become familiar with the strategies. One of the strategies that I ask my students to do is print. Please print before sending something, because there are many things that you see on the screen that you don't see on the screen, but you need to put them on paper. Another strategy is reading backwards. Take the paper and go backwards and check if there are problems in spacing, if there are problems of any other kind, punctuation, or very long paragraphs, etc. So the students need to go back and forth to see what they have, to see what they have done, all right, to check the quality of the paper and to see if they were able to communicate with the audience. The approach presented helps preparing and delivering courses that tackle academic genres in which participants manage to express their own views informed by the literature and research. What you do in a school is not only about giving opinions. They have to be given informed opinions. They have got to consult texts to the matter and inform the readers of what is being done. All right. Excuse me, how much time do I have left? Can you tell me, please? Because now I'm going to demonstrate things in the workshop. All right. Let me go back here. Can anybody tell me, please? Ms. Forero?
Yes, Mr. Rigoberto.
How much time do I have?
I think that we need to finish. Maybe you have, I don't know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
3 minutes? Are you sure?
Yeah, yes, of course, because we need to continue with the questions on the chat of the comments.
Okay, very good. So very
That's
good.
the idea.
Can you see my screen? Can you see the Word document?
Yes, I see the screen. Yeah.
The new document.
You have the PowerPoint presentation. It's on a slide.
Okay, just a second. I'm going to move very quickly for a quick demonstration of what I just presented. Okay, so I'm going to close the PowerPoint for now. Okay. And I'm going to move to this one. So we have a Word document. Now can you see my Word document?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we have here, this is a Word document that I received last week. And the first thing that I do is to activate Grammarly, the basic and free version. And it identifies 72 basic issues and 385 premium issues. So this is an original manuscript for an undergraduate students. I put at the top the general comments, all right? And then I go, okay, here, the first suggestion, it says, writing academic research paper is one of the aspects of studying change preposition, of studying for a bachelor's degree and not a bachelor's degree, all right? So this makes the correction. Now, but since I am an instructor, a teacher, I go here and I activate the track changes and I made a correction for the student to see that it was corrected for a bachelor's degree and all of these 71 issues, all right? If there are too many, I ask the students to please check it, go and check it and send it again with 0 basic issues. Now, there is another. I can copy and paste the whole document, control copy, okay, the whole document. And I put the document in here. That would close the demonstration, okay? And I put this document. I'm going to go to my Google and over here, okay? And I write WordSift that I mentioned is one resource, wordsift.org. I paste the document and it is going to tell me which words are repeated many times. I want to make sure that, okay, wait a minute. I want to make sure here screen. Okay, can you see my Google now?
Yes, yes, I see your email.
Okay, you see, okay, email now, right? And now, can you see this? The cloud of words?
Yes.
Okay, so here, this is the, were you familiar with this one? Word shift? So here, the word writing, this is a document that has 40 pages. The word writing appears 105 times, which is a bit too much. The word student 102 times, right? Which is too much. The word research 184 times. The word academic 123 times. So these words, wherever you put the mouse, it tells you how many times is repeated. So this is one of the many resources that I was mentioning for editing. You spot overused words, you go back to your document and you find a synonym like learner, apprentice, participant, etc., and you substitute it. Or you may substitute it by a pronoun, they, or he, or she, all right? Research, inquire, etc., etc. And at the bottom of this one, here, it gives you some synonyms: investigate, investigation, inquiry, to look into, etc., etc. All right, I will stop my demonstration here for the moment to entertain questions, and having say that in the handout you have the active links to the resources that I propose, for example, to the collocations dictionary, and a brief description of what each of these resources does. That's the main point that I want to make. So this is for my presentation. Thank you very much. And I entertain questions, comments, or suggestions.
Okay, Professor Rigoberto. Thanks a lot. Now we have 10 minutes, also minutes for the questions, and then I'm going to read some comments that we have on the chat on YouTube. Here, for example, from Centro de Lenguas, Escuela Tecnológica, Instituto Técnico Central says, greetings to the teacher Rigoberto. Diana Gomez says, dear Rigoberto, it's a pleasure to see you.
All right, nice. My former student.
Okay, excellent. Okay, here we have said Herman Leandro. On the meanwhile, reflect on the next. How can we motivate the students to write if they feel reluctant to practice?
Okay. First of all, thank you for the question. Spend time with the generation of ideas. Okay. For example, in the course that I teach, that is English writing, there is one module about creative writing. So there are several ways of generating ideas. I said, okay, guys, we're going to do a first exercise, which is free write. I put background music, and then the students for 3 minutes write non-stop. Whatever they write is not going to be shared. And after 3 minutes, they feel that they cannot stop writing. That's always open a writing class by doing a free write exercise. Second, you say, all right, you're going to write about something that you can easily write, which is a recurrent dream. Let's do for 10 minutes, I'm going to play background music, and you write non-stop about a recurrent dream. Only volunteers share the recurrent dream. So by doing these exercises regularly, free write, writing about your favorite person, writing about a memorable trip, etc., as depending on the age and the level of the readers, the topics are more and more sophisticated. But if you always include a free write part for generating ideas, and then let's say beginning with easy topics, they become used to writing. If it is at the university level and they need to write about a topic, a research topic, you help them say, what would you like to write about? Well, I want to talk about cooperative learning, but I don't know how to start. And I said, okay, let's go to a website and say, what are the main characteristics of cooperative learning? Now let's go to a library database like ProQuest and search recent papers on cooperative learning. Look at the abstract, read the keywords, etc. And by doing this process with them, they start to sort of say, okay, this is how I can generate ideas to actually put on paper what I would like to do of using cooperative learning to reduce bullying, for example. That's an example of yesterday's class. Next question.
Okay, doctor. Also, Herman says that remember that crashing, for example, states that productive skills such as speaking and writing are just the result of language acquisition and not the cause of it. And has another question. For instance, how can TFL deal with early integration of writing lessons?
Okay, I think that whenever we are in a classroom, we integrate listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And you have to know your learners very well and to show them the steps to use strategies and resources effectively and efficiently. So spend some time, as I do. I usually suspend my online class like 10 minutes before the clock, and I tutor students. And I said, okay, who wants to stay today and talk about what you're doing? And I said, okay, tell me, how did you write the paper? Which steps did you follow? Did you do this? Did you do that? So I double check. If the student gave a presentation, and the presentation, in the presentation, there were several errors in pronunciation, stress, rhythm, and intonation, I said, okay, please stay after the presentation. And in private, I said, look, you should check the pronunciation of the past tense, because you're advanced, but you don't seem to, you know it, but you have not integrated it into your speech. So this type of mechanisms help the acquisition of the language, and you respect the students' privacy. You don't want to make them look bad in front of the rest of the class. But with these sessions, let's say, that I suggest, I think they are useful, and you see their progress in the next presentation they have, or in their next intervention, because they are more careful of what they need to work on.
Okay, doctor, I have some comments I'm going to read, and I'm going to read the last questions, okay? Says Carolina Rodríguez, fantastic exercise, Rigoberto. I will do it with my academic writing students, background, music, cool. I have so much to learn from you. I can't wait to get my hands on the book. And the last question,
not on me.
The last question is from Roger Cespedes, says, based on your experience, what is the best way for students to develop their writing skills in a non-bilingual environment, and some don'ts for teachers?
Okay. First of all, let me begin with the don'ts, all right? Don't assign students a topic. Try to negotiate the topic with them. all right? Like, that's one point. Now, begin with easy pieces of writing. For example, making a poster, you have the plot, you have the synthesis, you have the critiques, etc., etc. So help students become familiar with the genre in which they will be writing. And if they become familiar with those conventions, their brain will not be busy with too many things, like how should I organize it, how should I start, what are the parts of a review, etc., etc. So that would be the things that I do. Demonstrate, model the genre in which they are going to be writing. Another don't is keep the feedback as private as possible. So sometimes, for example, I send the paper to the students, but I don't upload it to Moodle. I send it to the email for them to save face, all right? To say like, okay, analyze the feedback. There were too many errors. You have to work on this, you have to work on that. But I don't post it in Moodle because I don't want the student to feel bad. I send it via email. But of course, if it's about an exercise of peer review, which as usually you, before the final exam, the students have the chance to revise each other's papers according to the affinity of the topic, or I match a weak student and a strong student. That's some of the things that I can say to answer to that question. And the good news for you guys is that, yes, the book is going to be available in the month of October. You can, if you haven't received news in the middle of October, you can email me. My email is rcastillo@udistrital.edu.co, and I'll be happy to send you the link from the Doctorado en Instituciones de Educación, Publicaciones, where the book will be available. There are the chapters. There is a chapter on generating ideas and strategies for generating ideas, another chapter for organizing ideas, another for engaging ideas. Just what I presented today is organized like that. All right.
Okay, Dr. Roberto, there's a lot. Thank you to be here. The chat says that the access to the resource is not allowed on the handouts, please. And then
yes, I have to
maybe
go.
You can organize something in order that all of
No,
us
it's easy. It's no, because in Google Drive, the person sends a request, and I have to go to Google Drive and click and open the request. So just wait a few minutes after the presentation is over, and I will allow those people to have the handout. It's a three-page handout in which you have a description of each of the resources that I presented and the link.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Doctor. Okay, we are going to continue with the next lecture.
Thank you very much.
Lucimar, we need that you active your microphone.
Amiga, the host is not allowed to participate to unmute themselves.
Okay, I listen you. We are listening you, girl.
Okay, now yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we will continue with our third conference. This is the final for our first day of Congress. So welcome to Magister Lady Viviana Perez and her workshop, Quality Evaluation of a BLO designed with NIPAR to mediate English pronunciation. She is Magister in Teaching English as a Foreign Language at UNIMINUTO, TESOL certificate from Perimeter College, USA, IGPI, IMCLI research member, Main research interest in ELT strategies, young students' perceptions and emotions in the EL process, and the integration of new technological approaches, such as gamification in education. She is a full-time professor at Universidad Pedagógica y Tecnológica de Colombia. Welcome, Professor Lady.
Well, so thank you very much for this invitation, and I'm so glad to participate in this event. Special greetings for the people who's joining Zoom, and also all the viewers that we have at YouTube. So thank you a lot. Well, so I think that is not necessary to introduce myself. So I'm going to start with my presentation now. So I just want to confirm if you can see the presentation. I am sharing it now, so I just want to confirm that. Okay. Well, so today I would like to start by telling you that what I have done here is part of my second master program that I'm doing now. And what I did was to design a VLO using a tool that maybe is not really a tool that was designed to create VLO, but in this study, I'm trying to see if that it works. So my presentation entitled Quality Evaluation of a VLO Designed with Nearby to Mediate English Pronunciation in this Congress. Well, so I'm going to start a little quick with a short introduction, then I'll tell you something about the main objective. And also in this second part, I would like to the people in this meeting and also at YouTube could join this tool. The idea is that you could interact or even to have a try of this tool. And I will talk a little bit also about the theoretical framework and something that I have done in the methodology, obviously the results, my main conclusions, and yeah, the references. That is something that maybe I can't just let you know in the end as well. Well, so as I told you before, the general problem comes from a master thesis big project that I'm developing now. And that is the lack of opportunities and methodologies that support and strengthen the specific English pronunciation features or characteristics of students in higher education. So especially, you know, the students who are enrolled in programs that are no or other than those focused on English language instruction. So that it means that they don't have the opportunity to have a specific knowledge about pronunciation instruction. Well, and the problem background is in the present research, yeah, I have implemented the POSE test, as that is the perception of spoken English that was designed by Shewell in 2004. And here, what I have determined is the lowest results of the pronunciation of English consonant sounds. And I took into account a special one of them in order to build this VLO. So I'm just going to show you here a little quick. So here, yeah, this is the results that I got from implementing the consonant POSE, this result. So this POSE test, you can find it. I will maybe show you later in the following slides where you can find it, because it's a good tool where we as professors or English teachers can try to have a diagnosis of the main problems that our students have when we are trying to learn English, and especially in different features of pronunciation. So in this case, for consonant, what is segmental features? So what I found here is that they have a great issue on pronouncing or trying to perceive the sound of S and Z in final sounds. Well, so let me show you. Yeah, so it's here where I need the help of the person who is in charge at YouTube, because I would like you to share the lesson, and I would like most of you could join and can maybe feel the example of what it is. So the research, as I told you before, is to assess the quality of this virtual learning object entitled pronunciation of S at the end of the word. But yeah, the Nearpo tool could be used as a student's own pace. So that is helpful because you can attach the VLO at Moodle platforms, or different kind of platforms that you use in order to teach. And also you can try to create an interactive lesson or a live lesson if you want to. So it's what I would like to do now today. So let me see if maybe you're joining now. Again, I already have copied the link in the chat, but yeah, I just want to see if you are there. I type it again because I'm not watching that YouTube now, but yeah, hopefully you can access the link there. Well, let me see. I can see. Okay, there is one people there. Good. Yeah, I have Diana. Thank you, Diana. Just waiting. Let's wait a couple of minutes to see if more of you are motivated to join this lesson. I appreciate it. You can do it. That is going to be a good try for you. Judith, thank you very much. I can see you there. Lisette, thank you. Youth, let's try, please. Yeah, we have Diana, Judith, Lisette. Who else, please? Well, so we have 3 participants there. Well, so that's fine. I think we can start. I appreciate that you joined the lesson, Diana, Judith, and Lisette. Well, okay, so what I'm showing you here is, okay, so just let me see, okay. Because the window doesn't allow me to see the buttons there. Well, so when we use Nearpod as a tool, we kind of start the activity with our students. So Nearpod was developed especially to work with in another kind of activities, not exactly to teach English. And yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to see maybe pronunciation activities by using this tool. But I think that after you try this one, it could be a great resource for you in order to enhance your lessons. So we are just trying it as a live experience. And here, what I started to do was to ask you do you pronounce S at the end of English words in the same way? So what do you think? So you just could choose the options that we have there. So no answer, no, I don't, yes, I do. So thank you for your answers there, please. Well, so here, yeah, so that is one of the main questions that maybe we can set to our students, because it brings reflection. Students have the opportunity to think about it, because sometimes they are not aware about this difference. That, yeah, maybe by answering this question, they can get into the idea of if this sound is different, if they have it pronounced in different ways, or is the same in all the words that they use. Well, so it's very important that we establish the lesson objectives, because students need to understand what are the goals or the outcomes that they are going to get by doing this kind of lesson. So that's why in this lesson, you will recognize the three sounds in which the S can be pronounced at the end of a word in English. You will also produce or articulate S and S sounds at the end of words, and practice correct pronunciation to be understood by others. Well, so NIRP also has this kind of tool where we can use a kind of collaborate board. So here you can share your ideas. All of you can see your partner's ideas as well. So the question here is, what do you already know about this ending sound? So what kind of ideas come to your mind about when you are thinking about the pronunciation of the S sound? You can try here, you can share your ideas. We have here Diana, Lisette, Judith, Tatiana. What do you think about it? What do you already know about this ending sound? And here the idea is to write words that have S sound in the end of English words. Can you see answers there? What do you already know about the sounding sound? Share as many details as you can, but also you can write words that in English have S, that it could be for beginners. Yeah, I see, Diana, thank you. Okay, you wrote cups, tops, lips, heads, students, good. Okay, so let's continue because there are many parts for this lesson. So just want to showing you how this near-put tool works. So you also can continue by giving the students about short introduction or maybe explanation, instruction, what the theoretical part of S, Z, and S could be helped. And not only is just the theory, it's also about the way that the students can practice and try to articulate the sounds. Well, so the idea of this video is not just watching the video. The purpose is that students or the participants could answer the questions while they are watching the video. So now we have here the first question about the video, and it's, can you hear the difference in the final sound for the words cats and dogs? So what do you think? Can you listen to that difference? That's right, you can answer that. So yeah, we have a yes there. Good. Well, so that is something that we can ask our students, because maybe when we are talking about pronunciation, we have those students that can catch the difference easily, but there are others that maybe can or cannot understand the difference, or cannot perceive the difference when they are hearing the sounds. So that is something that helps us to understand if we need to continue or not in this kind of interaction, in this kind of instruction. So here there are more questions. What I like about this kind of videos, and I wanna give the credits to elementary.com, because those videos, I have tried them, and what I see is that they show not only the explanation, is the way that the students can maybe do activities like this one that I'm showing, that they can feel their neck, or they can feel the vocal cords and see how is that sound, especially when we talk about the difference of the sound, especially when we talk about a D in the past simple regular verbs, because the vibration, because our cords are fundamental to understand why do we have to change the sounds when we're saying these kind of words. Yeah, so it's something that helps. It's not that when, so I answered myself the question about how important pronunciation is in English, because sometimes I hear, some opinions about that. No, you just have to find your own way to produce your speech in English, to produce your discourse. And sometimes it doesn't matter pronunciation, but it's not that we have to copy a native speaker's pronunciation. Is that we need just to try to get that idea about to improve it. It doesn't matter if we don't sound like a native English speaker. It's not just like that, but there are a lot of strategies that help us to improve it, but not to copy something. It's not that we have maybe some patterns on British and we have to copy them, or we have to sound like British, or we have to sound like American people or North American people. It's not like that. Well, so that is a part that we have here, and I would like to continue because we have more kind of activities here. We want to give more information about what are the difference about this final sound. You can have this information here also in this kind of tool, in Nearput tool, and also you can see the results. Yeah, you can see the results according to each one of the activities that we have. We have also activities like matches activities. Yeah, and something that I like here a lot. So here we have virtual reality. So that is a great option that we have to implement in our classes, specifically in this pandemic times when we are trying to teach virtually. So it's not easy, especially I can tell you that I'm not an expert virtual teacher. I usually, before the pandemic time, I used to teach face-to-face, and now we have to continue by doing or to change to virtual teaching. So that is a challenge, but I have learned a lot about it. I have learned to use a lot of tools, and that's why also I decided to take my master program on mediation at UNAD. I can tell you that I have learned a lot. And it's also our autonomous practice and experience that help us to be better professors and teachers. Well, so virtual reality, I like this. I like this a lot because students can join into a virtual room like this one. They enter to virtual reality. They can see here a lot of elements in here. The purpose of this part is that students can find items there and try to remember them so they can explore this environment by seeing all the items and elements that they can find in this store. You can see here, you can explore everything. So if you have joined the lesson or the VLO, you are watching this by yourselves. Well, so after that, just as time, to write the plural elements that they remembered in the right final F sound on the table below. And, after having those kind of instructions in the video and after having read all the information about the difference and practicing. So that is one of the activities that they can continue by doing in this VLO. And check out the new feature in action. So here about gamification, yeah, NIRPO has this this part where the students can get into a game, and I will show you how it works. It takes a little bit. Okay, so time to climb to the nearby. Okay, waiting for players. Diana, Tatiana, Lisette, I don't see you there. Okay. One connected, just one. What happened with Lisette, Tatiana, Diana, Camila, and Judith? Okay. Well, so let's start so you can just see, because the idea is that you also can have the opportunity to see how this works. Well, so what we do here is, what ending sound will you say after the word box when you make it plural? The second question, what ending sound will you say after the word guide when you make it plural? Good, Diana. I'm sorry, Diana. Diana, oh, you are on the top. Very good. What ending sound will you say after the word part when you make a plural? And what ending sound will you say after the word gift when you make it plural? Good, Diana. What ending sound will you say after the word dish when you make a plural? Good. Diana, good. Now you are on the top. Great job. What ending sound will you say after the word leg when you make a plural? Diana is on the top, good. Then we have Diana, who did good job as well. What ending sound will you say after the word cross when you make a plural? And this is the last one. What ending sound will you say after the word church when you make it plural? Good, Diana. Diana is on the top, Diana second, Rhythm the third, and Marianne Monroy, good job. Thank you very much for participating in this try. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm so glad you tried it. Well, so, and in the end of the VLO is really important, it's really essential that students have the opportunity to reflect. So why am I learning this? How will I build on this new information to grow as a learner? So I think that about meaningful learning, it's not just about learning or improving our pronunciation, even learning English as a foreign language. Here the idea is that we as learners have the opportunity to reflect on our own pace, especially when we are autonomous or when we are trying to learn by ourselves. Okay, so yeah, I would like you to answer this question. How do you feel about learning the pronunciation of final S? Nobody have answered, so yeah, we have. If you're confused, I need more practice, and I'm pro, I'm ready to go. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I see the result here. Okay, great. Well, so I was just a sample of what we can design with NERPO, especially what I have done in my project or in my study. So thank you very much for joining the lesson. Well, so here, yeah, so after trying this, I would like to tell you a little bit, I would like to explain some ideas of what VLO have been used in ELT. So according to Clavijo, virtual learning objects have demonstrated to be dynamic, flexible, cooperative, and personalized vehicles for fostering foreign language learning strategies in virtual environments. So that is part of what we can try to be or implement. We can be designers, or we can also try to implement those creations from another experts doing this. Well, so about quality of virtual learning objects, Munoz, Arteaga, so highlight important upsides of these web resources, such as accessibility, flexibility, reusability, durability, educability, interactivity, and adaptability, which refer to the practices and procedures used in the actual teaching moment. And when we talk about Nearpod is not really a tool that you can find maybe in the last studies to be used as a VLO software or VLO tool. But I think that it works perfectly if we want to use it. And it's something that I think I'm going to have to my conclusions, but is what I can see by doing this kind of VLO design. So when I built this VLO, I used it for the students, so the students have the opportunity to have it at Moodle platform, and they try it in their own pace. And for the own pace, that is the experience that we already have. So yeah, that is another use that we can give to this tool. So we can use it as an interactive, but also we can try to implement it to the students' own pace as a VLO. So, but it's not just what I say. I think that what we have to do is to evaluate this kind of resources. It's not about just what we think is really important in research, to have the opportunity to have a assessment of these kind of materials that we create or we implement in our teaching praxis. So for this evaluation, I used CODA, so that is a kind of guide that helps us to evaluate VLOs. So let me continue here. So this is about that I have to conduct it and it was also sequential and it was descriptive. When I implemented the target population were the participants for this VLO evaluation were students in higher education, especially in programs like earth science, technology, and business. They are not really into education or teaching English. They are, in kind of technological and other kind of fields. So when we teach in my university English, and maybe that is the case of most of us as a teaching English as a foreign language, is that sometimes we have to face students who are not really enrolled into education, and something is that they don't really care about learning English because they consider that English is not part of their curriculum and it's just a requirement in order to get their degree. So that is a huge challenge because we need to engage students into learning English. And I think that ICTs trying to design VLO is something that we consider to get our students involved into learning English. So that is the target population characteristics of patients. And most of them have, devices, ideas that they have the opportunity to access. At the beginning of the pandemic, it was difficult because they didn't have all this kind of connectivity tools. But, after a year, those kind of connection problems or internet problems have been faced too. Well, so a group of 40 undergraduate students of Universidad Pedagogical y Tecnológica de Colombia who voluntarily joined the English pronunciation course through gamification. And I had another example that it was my colleagues, so 5 English teachers, and they also evaluated this VLO. The instruments, so yes, I told you that CODA, it was adaptive. So what I did was create Google Form by using the criteria from CODA, and In the qualitative instruments, it was an open-ended questionnaire and a semi-structured interview to for the peer review. Well, so here for the data analysis, so the quantitative data took into account the CODA variables. So there were something that I'm going to explain you in the next slide, especially in this one. And well, so as we are on the steps, so I think I already talked about the POSE test to check the perception or the perception of a spoken English that the students had. So you can get into this website, you can Google it. I think that you can find it easily, you Google it, and you will have the opportunity to try it as a teacher, but also as a student. If you wanna check your results, you can do it. As teachers, we can find problems and focus on our students' pronunciations, you know, to practice especially those maybe weaknesses that the students have on segmental features, so suprasegmental features in pronunciation. And students also can track their programs if they want to. So yeah, you can do it. You can try it if you want to as a teacher or as a student. For the VLO creation, and just going to the step number 3, because the step number 2, I think you have the possibility to try the VLO. But for the resource evaluation, what I did was to try into the evaluation, the categories that I show you here. And this slide, okay. So those were the didactic objectives and coherence, and the content quality, the capacity to generate reflections that you can see maybe in the end of the VLO. Motivation, that is one important factor there. The format and the design, the usability, accessibility, reusability, and interoperability. So those were the main variables according to the CODA evaluation guide. I don't know, it's here. Well, so students have the possibility to evaluate it. And what I found here is that the answers to this, the first question, you know, about the didactic objectives and coherence. So the answers to these questions are related to the comprehension of the objectives and instructions. In this case, students indeed indicated that they understood the main objective of the instructions that maybe you saw in the beginning of the VLO. It can be seen in this figure that the response rates are in the highest scales, you know, 3.4 and 5. So it's like a 4.6 in the criterion. In the content quality, in the second variable, so the answer to this criterion depends on the student's understanding of topics necessary to address the design and amplifiers with the transitions. So the results that you see here, you know, in this second figure, so they have a highest rank, so that is 5 estimate, and the subsequent evaluation that you see here is on almost, you know, to 4. I think it's in 4 rank, and the average rating for this variable, yeah, it could be like between 4.5. So yeah, they give a very high score here. Also, we have the opportunity to check on the capacity to generate reflection as well, the motivation, in especially because most of the tools that we use to create, and the part that you saw on the game. So I think that it helps to engage students, to motivate them in order to practice. Sometimes when we talk about pronunciation, we are scared about to speak in public because are feared on maybe that they say, oh, that person is not pronouncing very well that word. But I think that this kind of activities, especially the game part, help students to just, go ahead and trying to participate without caring if we have mistakes, because the idea is that we are on our way to develop all this kind of pronunciation skills, and we don't have to be perfect. It's just that we need to try to be understood. That is the word. We need to be understood, not that we need to be perfect by pronouncing words. So yeah, and the same for each kind of the variable from Korea. Students have that possibility to evaluate this criteria. And something that I want to show you here is this kind of tool could be used in any of these browsers. So we can work it with Google. So it's workable with none of them. We don't have problems by using them in different kind of browsers. And also it can be worked with your laptops, with your computers, and also with a smartphone. So yeah, we don't have trouble by using it, even if you know that with Moodle is the same. If you wanna blend or you wanna hang this kind of VLOs in your courses by using different kind of platforms, they work very well. Okay.
Excuse me, Professor Lady. We are 1 minute left, please, so we can move on to the questions.
Okay, good. So just let me go to the conclusions. So one of the main conclusions that I have about this VLO with NERPO design is that although NERPO has not been cataloged as a software for creating VLOs, it has all the necessary features for the design of virtual learning objects. Furthermore, it is easy to use and to adapt to our students' needs, especially in ELT and pronunciation practices. The results of this study not only allow the evaluation of a virtual learning object, but also determined that NERPO is another tool for the creation of these objects. The way NERPO tracks the pronunciation materials helped me as a teacher and the students to facilitate the completion of the learning tasks or assignments during the course. So NERPO's way of controlling the learning activities help to engage the students in the class and control the learning materials presented to them and stated by McLean and Crow's study in 2017. So the improvement of the pronunciation of the final S sound in English words was not determined. Thus, it is necessary to continue post-diagnostic studies. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Professor Lady, for your meaningful presentation on pronunciation. And this is, as we all know, a language aspect that requires more attention in our teaching practices nowadays. Okay, so we don't have like a specific questions, but we have some comments that I'm going to read a couple of them. So right here, Judith Albarracin. Excellent exercise to notice the difference in pronunciation, especially S ending sounds. Also, teacher Hernan Leandro Restrepo, just to take into account, having a native-like pronunciation is not the most important aspect in learning a foreign language, but it really helps to integrate phonetics and pronunciation in teaching. And also, let's see right here. Centro de Lenguas ETIC. Thank you, interesting, good, and important for our teachers and students. And that's it, okay? So thank you again, Professor Lady. So for the audience, please join us tomorrow for our second Congress Day. Remember that tomorrow we are gonna have 4 extraordinary presentations so that you can keep learning on these educational and research topics. Tomorrow we will have, it's on the screen, Dr. Diana Camila Polindar Perez with her conference, Be Learning Experience under English Learning Motivation Relationships. Then we have BA Daniel Fernando Galvez Capacho, Enhancing 4th Semester Students Critical Thinking Through TV Series. And then we will have BA Luisa Fernanda Ortega Perdomo, UNAD EFL undergraduate students' perspectives on the development of their communicative skills in English during the initial training phase. And we will close our second day of Congress with Magister Marjuris Vanessa Perez with her conference, Local Knowledge to Promote Language Development. Thank you for being with us today. Don't forget to fill up the satisfaction survey, which links is in the chat. And we will love to meet you here tomorrow afternoon. Thank you and have a good afternoon.